Hey everybody, PC Outcast here, back with more Everlasting Summer and carrying along on Xenia's route. The whole camp gathered at the square. Ilana was chasing Electronique in a vain attempt to take away his very crumpled cardboard cosmonaut helmet. Nice. The scene of the man's first walk into open space was not without some amusing instance. Genda's monument served as an improvised rocket for the cyberneticists, and Shurik managed to trip and fall from it at the most crucial moment. It's a good thing that the distance to the ground was significantly shorter than the near-Earth orbit, and it met him, like in the song, with the grass near home. "Stop running, you'll kill yourself for good," Olga was wailing. Not even sure what concerned her more in this situation, the cyberneticist or the image of the camp that had no accidents 365 days a year since the beginning of time. Xenia was standing near and tugging on my sleeve, but I was too carried away with the spectacle and didn't notice right away. "So? What? Are you sure we should do this? Be doing this? Or you wanted this yourself?" "I didn't want anything. You just suggested and I agreed. We've discussed this 100 times already, and you know full well that it's not for real." "Oh, so it's not for real, huh?" she said dreadfully. "That's not what I mean. We're just in this world, don't forget it. In a couple of days, everything will repeat itself and no one will remember this." "Yes, but I will." "So are you embarrassed? Who are you embarrassed by the most? Those around you or yourself?" Xenia blushed and said nothing. "Okay, go change already," Olga commanded us. "Ready?" Xenia nodded. "We're gonna get married." 10 minutes later, a strange sight for a regular pioneer camp could be seen at the square. Oh, what am I saying? It was strange even for Savionok. And I felt strange too, standing in the middle of a crowd of pioneers in an old Soviet costume off someone else's back. Not a formal tailcoat, of course, but still better than shorts and a short-sleeved shirt. Whereas Xenia was apparelled in the hastily cut semblance of a wedding dress. In another situation, I'd say she looks foolish, but not now. Now, this dress seemed to me more beautiful than any attire from the pompous fashion shops. "So, what scene are you playing now? I forgot." Camp leader whispered into my ear. "Olga, what does it matter already? Let's start." "Okay." Xenia was standing as red as a lobster, not knowing where to put her eyes. She seemed now to strongly want to look at me. "Everything'll be alright," I said quietly. Miku was merrily smiling in the crowd of pioneers as if this was her own wedding. A bit foolish maybe, but sincerely. Lena was blushing as usual, but sometimes casting careful glances at us. Alyssa's whole look was saying that she'd been dragged here against her will, and she would have been playing the guitar or just sleeping if only she could. Though Ilana was clearly thrilled with the whole spectacle, children don't need much to be happy. As for Slavia, she seemed to be really happy for us and smiled kindly. "Let's get this over with already. Looks like any more and Xenia will be embarrassed to death." "Okay. We're ready." I nodded to the camp leader. Now I had to say what they usually say at weddings. Of course, I didn't know the exact words and managed to safely forget everything I've prepared beforehand. "I promise," I started, my voice shaking, "in sickness and oldness." No, that's not how it was. "What are you mumbling? We can't hear anything," Ilana merrily shouted. "Be quiet, you, or we'll put you in Xenia's place." The threat had an immediate effect and Ilana fell silent. Well, that's... Just a minute ago, I could have sworn I was absolutely calm, and now I couldn't say a word. I could only guess what Xenia was feeling. I gathered my courage. "I promise to be with you for better and for worse, for richer and for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part." Pioneers joyfully clamoring until now stopped talking immediately. It got so quiet I could hear my heart beating furiously. Xenia was still standing, her eyes dropped to the ground. "Well, now you." She pumped air into her lungs and pattered. "Agreed to marry you, promise to be with you, sickness and for poorer. Here." The crowd exploded with laughter. though for me, Zinnia's words sounded quite serious. And get it over with already! What about, now you can kiss the bride? I asked with a playful tone. Zinnia's eyes sparkled, making it clear that this situation was good enough even without kisses. I guess she's right, and we'll have time for that anyway. Good job, thanks everyone! Olga was shouting. Elektronik came forward to the camera. He looked as if he would be much happier having a crowbar in his hands instead. A couple of shots to remember. Hell no! Zinnia bawled at him. Come on, for the family album. She hesitated a little, but gave the semblance of a smile after all. It all turned out as it should be, better than it should be. For the first time in all this time, Xenia looked me right in the eyes, smiled, and said, "Yeah, I guess." That's true love right there. Time to bleed out. I woke up when the day was already drawing to a close. The fever had abated, and I found an injection mark on my right hand. Did the cat-eared one really help me? At first, I couldn't even believe there's somebody here capable of a kind deed after all that's happened in the last few days. With some difficulty, I got up and headed towards the camp. After all, I definitely have nothing to do in the forest, and it doesn't look like it can get any worse. Time and again, a thought was appearing in my head. I have to endure. I have to live through this week, and then it'll be easier. I will recover physically, and there will even be some time to recover mentally. Just don't despair. Don't give up. Don't be like him. I'd rather die than live like that. Ugh. Pioneers with backpacks, bags, and parcels were scampering back and forth through the square. Camp leader was standing near Genda. I still can never pronounce that. Genda. Bleh. I should just say agenda. Like agenda. That should work. Like a small monument, arms akimbo and shouting formidably. I froze on the spot, not knowing what to expect. This world is in continuous motion. It changes before my very eyes. Just yesterday they were ready to kill me, and what about today? Hey, Semyon. The camp leader shouted and looked at me intimidatingly. Who, me? Are you addressing me? Why aren't you packed up yet? Packed up? I'm ready to be packed off. Today is the last day of the session. Did you forget again? Pack up and go. Off you go. I didn't want to argue with her. I just didn't have the strength. And I stopped being surprised a long time ago, so I just flung out, "Is it okay that I look like this?" And pointed at my torn clothes and the bruises all over me. What happened to you? The camp leader sincerely wondered. Were you running through the forest and fell? What the hell are you talking about? What forest? Why would I even need to run through the forest? Okay, it's not my business. We are leaving in half an hour. If you're late again, you'll stay for another session. She smirked. Stay here for another session? No, this definitely lies outside of my plans. Anyways, a new chance to get out of here appeared, even if in such a dumb way. I slowly dragged myself towards the bus stop. The whole camp crowded in front of the bus. Everyone's waiting for the camp leader. After all, following rules contradicts her own rules. Oh, what happened to you? The pioneer from the infirmary inquired maternally. Are you all right? Need a bandage? Why stop at that? Offer me a splint. Must have fallen into a ditch and cried his eyes out. Sure, look who's talking. What if wolves got him? Only if those wolves were the local pioneers. I was just sitting quietly on the roadside, my head lowered into my hands. I didn't even want to think about what will happen tomorrow, whether I will get into a new loop or it will all end once and for all. Or maybe there's something else waiting for me ahead. Something better? Eh? When I woke up, Xenia wasn't nearby. Must have gone to take care of some personal business. God, why does she need this whole pioneer game? Especially on the wedding night. I stretched myself and yawned with pleasure. Oh well, at least I can surprise her, pick some flowers in the forest. Not much of a gift, but I know she likes May lilies. I would never understand why women like flowers. Why not nettles or hogweed then? Those are plants too, and they are nice in their habitats, not pots and or vases. Though what does it matter if every time I gifted flowers to Xenia, her face lit up with a bright smile? Of course, it might have been not because of the flowers alone. With a bouquet in my hands, I filed into the library, loudly throwing the door open. Behind the librarian's table was sitting Alyssa, looking gloomy and leafing through some magazine. Oh, the newlywed has shown up, she muttered, looking at me sullenly. Hey, where's Xenia? Dunno. Asked me to sit here for her and went somewhere herself. Well, yes, my Xenia can even persuade Alyssa. Okay, then I'll... And somehow she wasn't glowing with happiness at all. Alyssa said to my back, where did Xenia go? Maybe she decided to make me a surprise gift too. No, surprises are not her thing. It'll simply be time for breakfast. I ran to the canteen. Pioneers were merrily clamoring inside, the dishes were clattering in the same merry manner, and even the usually glum, I guess it would be glum, right? Lady cook looked unusually merry today. I noticed Slavia and walked up to her. Hi, have you seen Xenia? Slavia looked at me with surprise, then got embarrassed and turned her eyes away. I think she went to the bus stop. The bus stop? Why? I don't know. You better ask her herself. You'll still make it if you hurry. To the bus stop. To the bus stop! In a minute, I ran past the camp's gates and saw Xenia standing at the road, her gaze directed somewhere far away to the horizon, past the plains and the forests, following the bright summer sun. A strange expression was on her face. Sadness, anticipation, and anguish mixed together, but at the same time, Xenia looked so very different. I didn't recognize her. Better? No, I can believe this even less than the fact that tomorrow I'll return to the real world. Maybe it was better before. Seems like that pioneer was saying that I forgot a lot. But what exactly? Hey, I was looking for you. That sounded silly and my voice was trembling. I just had to say something. So I put a fake smile on and tried to talk in a friendly manner. What do you want? Xenia responded coldly. I woke up and you were gone, so... Xenia turned around with her eyes shining. I'm going, she said with a calm voice. Where? Home. But buses don't come here. Buses? What the heck? They do? Here, I made this for you. I handed her a bouquet, which instantly ended up on the ground. I don't need anything from you. You, yesterday. I don't want to know you. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure it was all your fault. What was my fault? Everything. The stupid marriage, and what happened during the night? But we agreed. You wanted this yourself, remember? A couple of weeks ago? I didn't even know you a couple of weeks ago. Uh-oh. What's happening? Yeah, it all started back then. Or continued. I don't care anymore. I decided that I could be happy with Xenia, but she disappeared just as she appeared, suddenly. Xenia sitting not in the library, but at the canteen porch. It was so long ago. I lost my faith once. I stopped being human. But then I met her, and it almost seemed like life was giving me a second chance, albeit in this strange world. But then she was gone, and during the endless cycles, I forgot everything. I went back to how I was before I first met her. I stopped being myself. Maybe he was right. What are you saying? We've known each other for... I don't even know how long we've known each other for. I don't know you, and I don't want to know you. But wait, Suddenly weakness hit me and I dropped to my knees just to avoid falling on my face. My ring felt very hot on my finger. I could feel the burning almost physically. Here, take it. Xenia took something out of her pocket and threw it at me. I'm going for a walk. I twisted the thin engagement ring in my hands and started crying. I've never cried like this before. Not in this world. Not in the previous one. And everything ended. Forever. I guess something human remained in me, so I decided to forget everything so as to not go completely insane. But now all my memories were here, and with them came the pain. It wasn't that bad, it had slowly weakened through time, but it was still tearing me apart. Almost as if I was being torn to pieces, and the only piece remaining was the one with my consciousness somehow in it. Not one, not half, only a sad coincidence, an acceptable error in the perfect equation of this world. Don't be so sad, bro. Some pioneer was sitting next to me. You again? Who, me? What difference does it make? You, him, that one, this one, you all look alike. He didn't respond. He just giggled. Did you come here to mock me again? It would have been better if you'd killed me at that time. But you remembered everything. I remembered, and it's even worse because of that. You're the one at fault here. At fault for what? For trying to stop you from leaving with Cadiard? I know that was you in that bus. There were still no emotions on the pioneer's face. Maybe it was, or maybe it wasn't. What's the difference now? That means you managed to get out? And came back? Just to mock me? Didn't you do the same? Stop pushing these morals onto me, for God's sake. I was down on my knees and looking at Xenia, who was slowly getting further and further away. And there she went around a corner. I can't get her back. Anyway, I knew that this wasn't Xenia. My real Xenia disappeared yesterday. This was just a soulless doll that looked like her. But she looked just like her. The tale can't last forever. This world is a true hell, and I'm the demon. And demons can't ever reach true happiness. Just tell me one thing. I killed the silence. Why is everything like this? You had a chance from the very beginning, a choice. You could have done everything differently. Many did it right, different from how you and the others alike did. Yeah, right. They all got out and are now living happily with their dolls in the real world. I grinned. Do you think that your life is better? He clearly emphasized the word life. If you're the one that took Xenia away from me. Rage was growing inside of me. I wanted to jump on him and beat him to death. But I wasn't sure that he existed in the physical world. But even then, what would change? You could have been happy with every other girl. That's the reason they're all here. I didn't expect such an answer. But none of them are real. The only real ones were me, you, us all. Xenia? That's only for you in your world. You know that there are many realities, and in every one of those you pick your own faith. Maybe there is only one Semyon, but this camp gave him multiple possibilities. Someone managed to get out, and now lives happily, like you said. Someone stuck, like you. Can you tell me what this place is? Who are you? You can think of me as the camp leader. The pioneer gave a smile without any trace of mockery or irony and vanished. I felt a bit easier after hearing his words. So I guess the other one is what's currently happening, and this is his memories, right? The world was suddenly engulfed in fog, and a bright flash appeared in front of me. I looked around and realized that the pioneers are gone, as well as the bus. What again? The gates creaked silently, and I hid behind the pioneers' monument. Semyon walked onto the bus stop. One of the Semyons, but his facial expression was painfully familiar. I've forgotten long ago that I can look exactly like that. He stared at the road for some time and headed back into the camp. Don't trust him, I said on an impulse. Who are you? Semyon looked surprised. Stop. Don't come any closer. All right, I'll stay here. Have you seen him? Talked to him? Who are you even talking about? You know who. Yes. What did he tell you? Nothing really. Did he give you advice? Did he tell you what to do? Threaten you? No, nothing like that. Of course, he seemed pretty weird, but nothing more than that. Remember, he may not be alone, or more likely, he is alone, but you may meet many pioneers who here who look like him. What about you? Who are you? Who are you hiding from? You'll understand in time. Just remember, the most important thing is to find the exit. So that's the guy that I met in the beginning. That's really cool. The wind became really strong for a moment, and the same flash appeared before me. And again in an instant, the bus and the pioneers appeared once again. I don't know what I told him everything for. I thought it was the right thing to do. If only I remembered what remorse and repentance were, then possibly that would be what I'm feeling. A pioneer should always be ready. A familiar voice sounded like thunder in the midst of a clear sky, and a familiar thump on my back brought me out of the catatonic state I was in. Xenia was standing in front of me. I instantly knew that this was Xenia, not the doll. But how? Those were the only words I could whisper. I don't know. She smiled, but her voice was trembling. Back then, after the wedding, I woke up in a different world. I thought I'd lost you, and then there were so many loops that I nearly forgot. Sorry, I said quietly. Forgive me for everything. But that was okay. Then he came and said that he could guide me to the world you're in. I didn't believe it at first, but here I am. I jumped forward and hugged Xenia. Forgive me, I've forgotten everything, forgotten you. I've done so many bad things to you. I didn't believe it. I didn't hope for it. I'm sorry. You're gonna suffocate me. She freed herself from my arms, but now I'm here, so everything's okay. She said through her tears, How can you be so calm? Because I always knew that we were going to be together. Xenia raised her right hand, and on her finger I saw a ring that was woven out of May Lily. I've lost mine, sorry. It's okay, we'll buy a new one. She smiled. Hey, hop onto the bus, you two. Olga was screaming discontentedly. Ugh. Ah. The bus was peacefully bouncing over the bumps and slowly driving towards the district center, or wherever it was going, really. You know, I can't believe that everything will end. I've gone through so much in the last week. And once again, you got the most interesting parts. Xenia sulked. I don't think you'd like to exchange places with me. I can imagine, but it's still way more interesting than sitting in the library for days on end. You have weird ideas about interesting things. Do you think about it? But what? What will happen next? Tomorrow? We still need to meet somehow in the real world. Oh yeah, let me write your address down. Yeah, right, so you can send me a letter right now? I smiled. I'll memorize it, go ahead. Exchange numbers and addresses. It's weird that we didn't have this idea earlier. I assume we never even hoped to get out of this world, and we just didn't want to remind ourselves about our past lives. What do you think it'll be like? The usual? We'll just fall asleep? Xenia clasped my hand and pressed her entire body against me. I hope so, but in the end, this isn't the worst thing. I'd say one of the better ones. Xenia yawned and closed her eyes. Sweet dreams. See you. I didn't say anything and just continued looking out the window at the landscape that was flying by. The Sovyanok camp was left behind, and I will never return there. Yes, I was sure about that. But it will always be part of my life. I've changed there. Changed multiple times. Compared to the time spent there, the mere 50 to 60 years that I have remaining in the real world are just a short moment, but I'll make sure to live them like a real human. Yeah, you're probably bad, just as that pioneer said. Xenia mumbled through her sleep. What? Nothing, just sleep already. She laughed and pinched me painfully. Ah. I wonder what everyone else felt in my place. Same loss of consciousness in the first moments, the feeling of anxiety, panic. I came back to my old apartment but didn't recognize any of it. Yes, it definitely feels like being in a house you lived in many years ago. Everything looks to be in the right place, but you don't remember anything. You just think that this is how it's supposed to be. I've already forgotten the day I've disappeared from this world, and I'm not so sure about the year either. But it's winter outside, and that means that not much time has passed here. Yeah, I'm not 17 years old anymore, but I don't look like my real age either. So it turns out everything went okay? My return didn't have any unexpected consequences? Xenia. I rushed to the table and wrote down the address and phone number with a shaking hand. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to forget them, but it'd be better to have a backup anyway. Now what's next? How does this world work anyway? The laws are completely different here. None of which, to be honest, I've ever understood. And now I'm like a newborn, forced to live an adult's life. But let's save that for later. For now, I need to find Xenia. Someone rang the doorbell. Humans. Real humans, not pioneers. I've got to open the door. What else can I do? I finally returned, and I have to live in this world now. I slowly walked up to the door, turned the key in the lock, grabbed the handle, and froze. So, how long should I stay in the doorway for? I opened the door with a jerk and saw Xenia. She looked just like she did in the camp. But how? Remember, I always arrived in the camp 1 week earlier than you, and I returned 1 week earlier. I forgot about Savionok, forgot about the real world. The only thing that matters is we're together. I grabbed Xenia and carried her into the room. So are we just going to stand around? Ah, sorry. Xenia lightly jumped down onto the floor. Wait a bit, we need to do this right now. We might not have time for it later. She smiled and started digging through her purse. Give me your hand. I extended my arm out to her, and Xenia put a ring on my finger. Just a very basic one, like the one back in the camp. In the dim light of a dusty ceiling lamp, a golden ring was shining on her finger. I think I should have bought the rings. Well, judging by the looks of your man cave, I don't think you have the money for them. We laughed together sincerely. Real snow was slowly falling outside the window. White, beautiful snow. The darkness of the night sliced by thousands upon thousands of the lights of the big city, which was singing with hundreds of voices, reminding us that we're still alive and still together. I gently moved my hand across Xenia's cheek. Warm, real. You won't disappear this time? You better believe it. You still owe me money for the rings. I hugged Xenia and kissed her like never before. Well, that was a really nice ending as well. So the main game ended well, and the DLC ended well too. That's nice. I hate when things end badly. Stories ending badly. You know, life is hard enough. We don't need stories ending badly too. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the adventure that we've taken together through the everlasting summer. And I hope you join me for the next adventure in the next game. Thanks very much for joining me, and we will see you next time.